Good morning, everybody. Michelle is here. February 15th, 2026 on a Sunday. My favorite day, Sunday. I hope everybody's doing fantastic, magnificently, and marvelous because I am. I'm fixing my breakfast. I have to keep an eye on that. And I just wanted to come on through this morning on this appears to be a little bit overcast, but it feels cool. I think it's in the 50s out there. Yeah, and it's in the 50s. So I just want to come on through and share some things while I have the moment before things get busy. You know, busy in my household. I saw a lot of headings, and I have no idea what's inside the heading, because you know what? I understand our humanity more than I sometimes want to, because when I think about how we are improperly thinking, improperly behaving and acting, you know, I get so disturbed, and I'm really concerned. I really am, especially about the children and the descendants, you know, our young people. I'm so concerned because we have these so-called experts, these so-called leaders coming in and, you know, always wanting to be the ones that tell us what to do, you know, that they know better as to what we are supposed to do. And it's all about getting the attention, you know. Let me look up this phrase and see. It's a metaphor, and before I read it out, let me just make sure it's telling me. You know, and it's hard to know if this was even why this was. You know, it's a metaphor. But anyway, so there's a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but there's this illusion that we need to get off of the social media platforms. Okay, if that's not illogical, irrational, and unreasonable, I don't know what is. And not to mention dangerous. Okay, it's like leaving our children with strangers, metaphor. So you need to stay on the social media platforms and see how you can counter what's happening. See how you can redirect what's happening, you know. And that doesn't mean, okay, what you want to do is you want to monitor, you want to observe, and you can engage, but change how you're engaging. Are you engaging because you just want to be social and you just want people to like you and you want people to follow you? You know, that's something you need to work out independently. But absolutely do not come off of these social media platforms. The damage has been done. As I said in a recent post, our images, in other words, we've given everything to this social media platform. And when I say we, these so-called leaders have given all our information over to the social media platform and threw it in their lap and making, and as well, when they do that, they've given our information and our personal details, you know, already they've given all that to these social media platforms. And what I mean by that is so many of these so-called experts and so-called founders and so-called the brains of the social media platform have turned everything over to the artificial intelligence. So you know how dangerous that is to not be able to monitor that, observe it, and get in there and engage if you need to? Unfortunately, that's our accountability and responsibility. So if we just turn like there's a certain people that have turned over everything to the artificial intelligence, which is the same as social media platforms, by the way, if you haven't snapped out of it yet. And what they're essentially saying is it's artificial intelligence responsibility now. Do you know how dangerous that is? And those individuals that are responsible for doing that, which is all of these so-called elites, that's going to come back and bite them too. They forget that they have children. They forget that they have grandchildren. They forget they have other extended family members. They're all only thinking about themselves, obviously. So that's what they want. They want you to get off the social media platform, everybody. Get off. So that they can do whatever they want with your images, your profile information, your demographics. Okay, because the whole intention is to get you, under their thumb of control, containment, and isolation. Okay. Again, getting off the social media platform is like leaving our children with these criminal negative elements. We already are doing a poor job of protecting our children and our descendants and ourselves. And so, again, these are just headlines I've seen coming across, when people come in and say, you know what, I was off the social media platform. Nobody even knew you were on it, and nobody even knew you went off of it, because that's irrelevant. That's your personal decision. Okay, but just think about this for a minute. Why would I, first of all, why are you doing it? You have to ask who, what, when, where, why. Why would you do that? Like I said, it's like giving your children over to some strangers and say, okay, they're going to take care of it. They're going to take care of raising my children, raising my descendants. I don't have to do anything. I got, and see, that's what a lot of founders are going to, it's already too late. So it's not anything they can do. It's like, again, giving your children over to strangers and expect those strangers to give your kids back. How many times has that happened? Very rare. So pay attention to what is being circulated around these social media platforms. They want you to believe you have no control, and that's a bunch of garbage. You have control, but once you start making it somebody else's responsibility and accountability for your own safety, then. But I wanted to look up a phrase and see if it. Oh God, let me see if I can find the meaning. It's so hard to find what you need on these dictionaries. I just want to make sure this metaphor it fits with what I'm attempting to say. I know a lot of people don't like quiet time. Well, the phrase is, it's not really giving me what I need. But anyway, so I don't want to say it because, it's not right now. It's not representing what I'm saying, or what I'm, it's like these so-called experts are giving us these irrelevant, dangerous warnings about the social media platform, when they know in reality the damage has been done. So telling us to get off the social media platform is giving this artificial intelligence the ammunition they need to completely take over your autonomy. Yeah, I'll find it. Yeah, there's a particular phrase I'm looking for. So do not. Well, listen to this. You have free will to do whatever you want to do, but you have to think properly about it. Pay attention to these so-called experts coming out, invoking fear. Get off the social media platforms now, or do not engage, or I don't know what they're saying per se. I just see the headlines, and I know our humanity. I know how we operate. We love to stir up stuff to get us looking to the, get us looking to the right so that we don't know what's going on the left. Get us looking up so we don't know what's going on in our infrastructure. It's all a game. It's about, I want followers. I'm desperate. I can't pay my bills, so I need to invoke fear. They know the psychology of how we run around like, literally like chickens with our head cut off. We've done that for, or this crying wolf. That's probably more so what I'm looking for. The crying wolf. And they want to be the ones to say, oh yeah, it's a false alarm. This imagined threats. Okay. And that's where we need to pay attention to that, where they are attempting to talk about dangers and, the damage has been done. Pay attention. Hello. And that's what I said. We got this criminal negative elements out there. And sadly, a lot of these so-called experts are weaved right into that because they're lying to you intentionally. Lying. They're great performers. They're great actors. They are intentionally lying because they need your engagement. They need you to be running to them, and let them be the only one giving you so-called information or critical information. Pay attention to that. It's a game. Like I said, know the game so you will not get. Know the game. Okay? Pay attention to these social media platforms. Do not allow them any more free reign that they have. They got us. Sadly, they got us, and it's been going on 50 years, and they got the founders too, because the founders were arrogant and cocky and thought they knew what they were doing, and they've just made the situation even worse because they believe these social media, they believe these artificial intelligence is going to take care of things. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? So the damage has been done. Regain some focus, ground yourself. Be kind and gentle when you realize that you're being thrown all over the place. We all are. We're being swinging here, swing there. He's telling the truth. They're telling nobody. That the truth is what you discover. You discover the truth. And then I was so annoyed. No disrespect to our young people. No disrespect at all. Okay, but before you want to become a teacher, make sure you have some life experiences. And that you're not just creating stuff. I remember going back and forth with someone, and I think they were in their 30s. They were just in the late 20s, going into their 30s, or maybe even middle 30s. And they wanted so badly to be a teacher. I want to be a teacher. I want to be a teacher. Okay, teach what? And what they wanted to teach is teach people how to live. Which I thought was, come on now. This person could barely wipe their ass properly. They were living off of another relative. In other words, they were not living independently. They were great at video games and great at they're great with getting on the computer and creating applications for video games. And most of them are in the incel communities. Okay, we just, INSCL. Incel communities, whereas most of them are still living with their parents. Some of them can barely, as I said, wipe their ass properly. To get them to clean their room is like, it can send them into a rage. And to get them to go out, put out the trash can send them into a rage. Okay, when you tell them no, that can send them into a rage. So that's why we have all of this happening. This, what they call it, domestic homicides, domestic, femicide plays a role into that. Okay, and usually the perpetrators are biological men. We all know that. Don't get offended. So just pay attention to the information that's coming through these social media platforms. Like I said, you don't have to engage if you don't want to. But the damage has been done. So find out what's going on behind these scenes. by, but as I was saying about this young dude, he had the nerve to want to be teaching people how to think. Oh, oh boy. And then he ended up crashing and burning. Metaphor. So do not leave these social media platforms. Do not leave the social media platforms. Do not leave the social media platforms. That's all I'm going to say right now. Peace and love all over the stars and moon and mountains. Universal love was always inclusive. We divided it and turned them into commodities. Trust me, I will be back.